Louisiana already needed a lot of help when it comes to infrastructure. It was aging, it was crumbling. We needed better Wi-Fi, especially in rural areas. When you're talking about the billions of dollars in recovery, yes, that infrastructure money will go a long way, but they're going to have to come up with a different pot of money, with emergency funds. That is what they're there for, and I think that's what they're trying to plot out here and talk about what will be needed. And look, let's not forget, parts of Louisiana already are in the federal pipeline when it comes to disaster relief. While it doesn't impact our part of the state, Southwest Louisiana is still on its knees after Hurricane Laura hit 1 year ago. I mean, it crippled parts of Lake Charles going to the Texas line. So they're still dealing with state and federal resources, just trying to get back up. We all know how long it takes to rebuild after a major hurricane like Laura, like Katrina. So I think, here's the president, looks like, getting off the plane right now, Allison and Randy, and it looks like a pair of jeans and a white button-down shirt, and he's going to meet with Governor John Bel Edwards right when he steps off the plane. We can't hear what they're saying. Obviously, the helicopters and jets are too loud, but I would imagine that Governor John Bel Edwards is just getting right to the chase. Here comes Cedric Richmond now, a senior advisor, the point person for the recovery. The former congressman is coming down the steps, a big ally of Governor John Bel Edwards. He's now talking to him right there. But I would imagine this is just brass tacks. I would imagine they're going to skip a lot of the pleasantries with the little time that the president has here on the ground and just get right to it. What do you need and what do we have to do? Randy, Allison. Yeah, no, it's a great question, Randy. And I think we have to put things into two pots. There's the short-term recovery, 5, 6, 7 weeks, 6 months out, and there is the long-term recovery. That's a year plus. I think hardening infrastructure is going to be a goal. It should be a goal, and it needs to be a goal of Entergy New Orleans, and of CLECO, the three major carriers across southeast Louisiana. Look, when people lose power, they want it back on immediately. Everybody understands this is a major Category 4 storm that made landfall here in southeast Louisiana. But hardening the infrastructure, making sure that poles stay up, and if they come down, getting them back up, that is a long-range project that I hope is discussed. And I think all the people watching this want to be discussed right now. These were things that were discussed 16 years ago. They're improved since Hurricane Katrina, but clearly not improved enough. You just talked about that Entergy station out in New Orleans East. The city of New Orleans, which regulates Entergy New Orleans, went through that dogfight, the staged actors episode, to get that built. That was supposed to be built so where people could get power back up sooner rather than later. There were going to be lingering questions about that, about why couldn't it sustain and why can't people get their power back on in the city of New Orleans sooner rather than later. But firming up and hardening infrastructure is something that I would imagine will be discussed. But I hope everybody realizes that is a long-term. And when I say long-term, that is a goal that is probably years down the road. That will be several administrations into the future. And that's why it's important, I think, that everybody understand the short-term goals are, look, get people money, get gasoline, get food, get water, get people back home and get them in their houses. And then you start talking about these long-term needs that are generational, for lack of a better term, that our kids will feel the benefits of, Randy, 15, 16, 20 years down the road, that you hope Entergy and CLECO have improved infrastructures. So another storm, when it does hit, you don't have to deal with the same problems and repeat the past pitfalls of the past. I think they're trying. How about that? I think they're trying. I think that I was in Hahnville 2 days ago, and there were thousands of people, Randy, lined up for food and water. I think the impact is so great, and so many people are in need, that if this were a storm like Zeta last year, or like Isaac in 12, you know, you take a licking and you keep on ticking, if you will, for lack of a better term. But I think that so many power outages have impacted so many people who need water and need food. I mean, there's no place to eat right now. No restaurants, or very few restaurants, are actually open. Very few grocery stores are actually open. So if anybody even wanted to come home right now, I know this has been the underlying theme from Matt Jewell in St. Charles Parish to the two women you see right there, Latoya Cantrell and Cynthia Lee Shang, the two first female parish presidents and mayor in their respective communities. They're telling people, look, if you want to come back, we want you back. You're going to be back. This is not something that we can't overcome and that we can't survive. But if you come back today, you may not be able to go to your favorite restaurant or to go to a grocery store. And if you left your house, everything in your fridge is rotten right now. So I think they're trying. But there are people, Randy, that never thought. I've got friends, so do you, so do so many people watching this, who never thought they'd have to go to a site to get an MRE and a bottle of water, and they're going over there because they came back on Monday or Tuesday not realizing we wouldn't have power until maybe Wednesday. People in New Orleans may get it sooner rather than later, but there are people in St. Charles Parish, Randy, that are not going to have power for a very long time. There are people in LaPlace that may not have power for several weeks. So I think they're trying, but I think that it's been an uphill fight, just given the fact of the need. It has been great, probably greater than most people expected at this point. No, it absolutely doesn't. We talked to Steve Scalise at the top of this hour. He said the number one thing is getting fuel in. I mean, there are gas wars going on, if you will. It's crazy when you go outside. For people who are watching this who may not be in the metro area, it is almost impossible to get gas anywhere across southeast Louisiana right now. When a gas station does open up, the lines are unbelievable. It's 3, 4, 5 hours. That's why they're urging people to stay where they're at. I think they have to get fuel into this area. I think that's going to happen. We're going to see it gradually get better as we head into the weekend and early next week, especially in areas like Jefferson, like New Orleans. If you live in Houma and Thibodaux, it may take a little bit longer. If you live in Grand Isle and Lafitte, it's going to take a lot longer. Just to give you what we're looking at right here, it looks like everybody is huddled up talking to President Joe Biden. And you know, he's spoken on this before, and I had the chance to have a talk with Cedric Richmond yesterday. The president's been there before. He's done that. He was in Congress a long time. He served as vice president for a very long time. He knows the needs of this community. He understands how to get things done in Washington, D.C. I know it's easier said than done right now, but you gotta hope for the betterment of so many people across southeast Louisiana. Everybody will put political fighting aside and just get people the money, the gas, the food, the water that they need. And then long term, get this state the long-term infrastructure needs and protection that are there. Let's talk about this, and I hate to pivot off to this. The levee protection system that was built after Hurricane Katrina, the multi-billion-dollar levee flood walls that surround New Orleans, Jefferson Parish, parts of Plaquemines, parts of St. Bernard Parish, it held up. And it didn't just hold up, it gets an A+. There was never a threat of flooding in a lot of those areas. If you live outside the levee protection system, they did flood. Braithwaite flooded. St. John is outside levee protection. It did flood. But even the structures that are surrounding Houma and Thibodaux, this was not a water event. This was a wind event. When you see the catastrophe out there right now for most of these communities, with the exception of maybe St. John that is outside the levee protection system, these are wind events. When you look at the damage in downtown Thibodaux and downtown Houma, Randy and Allison, this is wind damage. This is what happened when a Category 4 storm rolls on shore and sits over you. When we drove around St. Charles Parish, you can't drive down 90. It's almost impossible. Boutte, which is a great community on the West Bank, and Hahnville, which is a great community on the West Bank, That is storm damage. That is wind damage. That is not a flooding event for all practical purposes. So if you want to take a snapshot of what the federal government can do, there were a lot of questions. Nobody knew if it would hold up. But this levee protection system that took a punch in Gustav, that took a punch during Isaac in 2012, and really took a punch during Zeta last year, and now took this blow during Hurricane Ida, it stood up to floodwater. I think now moving forward, it's going to be how do we better protect this community against wind? And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if scientists know what the answer is, Randy and Allison, because how do you better protect a community when the winds are coming in at 120 and 140 miles an hour? My brother used this comment. We've covered every storm together for 18 and 19 years in Metro New Orleans. And my brother said he's never felt wind like that in downtown New Orleans. Usually, a storm hits the coast, and by the time it gets to New Orleans, you've got 70, 80, 90 mile an hour wind. The winds in Metro New Orleans were over 100 miles an hour. So I don't know what the answer is to better protect this community. That's why those people are meeting. They're going to meet with experts, hopefully, people who are in these fields when it comes to wind protection and energy use and gas use. But when it comes to flood protection, I got to say, and I think everybody's talked about this, the multi-billion-dollar flood structure that's in place once again has held up. Randy and Allison. To answer your question, Randy, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for Lafitte and Crown Point because those walls were built there. I know St. John, St. Charles have been pleading. There are different projects that go in different directions. I know Morganza to the Gulf, St. John, Thibodeau, Lafourche, they have flood protection, but I know that St. John feels like they were left out. They feel like it should be extended. It should better protect St. John Parish. That has been an underlying theme from the past parish president, Natalie Rowbottom, to the current parish president, Jacqueline Hotard. Matthew Jewell in St. Charles Parish has talked about better protecting that area from flooding. But, you know, if you're outside of the levee protection system, I'm going to use an example here. Braithwaite. Plaquemines Parish is protected. The entire West Bank. Bellchase didn't flood. Jesuit Bend didn't flood. But if you're on the southern end of that parish, you got some damage. And if you were on the East Bank in Braithwaite, you flooded again. But the wall, the levee protection wall, is at Braithwaite, right where it meets St. Bernard Parish. So I don't have an answer for that, and I don't know what the answer is. Everybody is leaving now. It looks like they're actually heading to vehicles, and possibly it looks like Marine One right there. I know that parts of the tour the president will do, some will be driving, some will be aerial. It actually looks like the president is heading to the helicopter right now. I see New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell. I'm going to try to wave her over here if we can grab her really quickly. I don't know if she's going to be able to come over here. It seems like everybody is heading with the president to their respective locations. But we'd like to ask the mayor and Cynthia Lee Shang, what did you talk about on the tarmac? What did you discuss with the president of the United States? What is he going to help you with? What is the #1 goal that he can help you with?